Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bobby. You know, if you live long enough and you continue to play golf, there's going to be some realities that you have to face up to. And, you know, I'm going to be 56 in a couple of months. And I can tell you that my body's not exactly as fit and supple as it once was. So I've had to make some adjustments. And I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to keep things going so that you can still swing on plane, that you can still avoid early extension, and so that you can clear the hips in a suitable way and one that is power producing. And this has to do with the position of the feet, and then also I want to educate you a little bit on what the position of the feet allow you to do. When it comes to the right foot, and the role of the right foot is different than the left. When it comes to the right foot, I think that the right foot should be sawed off at 90 degrees. Now, why is that? In other words, 90 degrees to the intended line of flight, pointing straight out. And that's because the right foot allows you to coil the upper body. In other words, for every degree that this upper body coils beyond the limits of the lower body, that is more power-producing spring-like coil that you have to distribute into the golf ball when the time is right. However, if you splayed this open, there's no resistance going back. It's like you're pulling with a slack rope all of a sudden. You're not coiling anything. The bottom of the spring has been released, and so you're just turning in place with no real coil. We want to saw this thing off at 90 degrees so that we can feel the power-producing coil that's produced in a backswing. Now, that gets us to the role of the left foot. The role of the left foot is completely different. We need to position it, or it certainly needs to be in a position that will allow us to continue rotating through the shot. And what I say to you is I would go ahead and splay that thing open, as much as even 45 degrees. However, if you've tried that in the past, and you've experienced some trouble, and it just didn't work for you, I can probably assure you that you're running into one big major problem that a person has when they try this. And that is the danger of opening that foot. Why sometimes a person won't have success with it is because they also open their left knee. And when they open their left knee, what happens is the pivot point of this backswing becomes the ball, and it kind of comes up in this way. And oftentimes this foot will be replaced in a completely different position than where it started. It starts moving around and not being replaced right back where it was. And just as much, the person who splays this open will often, in an attempt to get to the left side, go to their left toe. Now, when your weight gets to your left toe, that means your hips are probably still forward. That means that you've early extended. That means that you can't continue to rotate because there's a traffic jam down here in the middle of the body. And so here's what I submit to you to make this left foot splayed open work. Open her up, and just remember, this knee is now pointed out over the foot. That's what's natural, and that's the trouble. You've got to go ahead and put that foot splayed, but square your knee and your hip straight ahead as though the foot were sawed off at 90 degrees. Now what that's going to do is you're going to feel right away when you do that your weight goes to the arch of this left foot. You want to try to maintain that secure position of that left foot throughout the backswing. Now, when you do that, that left foot is really going to want to stay in a good solid spot during the backswing. You're not as likely to start pulling it way up and then replacing it somewhere else. Not only that, but you're also very likely from this position to get your weight to your left heel, which is desirable. And so let's take a look at that. My foot is splayed out, but my knee is forward, and let's see how that works. I'm going to turn and get the weight to the heel, and notice that clearly the weight is on the outer edge of that left foot as we go. Now, if we look back at the right-hand video, notice that by splaying that foot out, that doesn't cost me anything in the way of the backswing. I'm not whipping the club to the inside because I'm in some funky position with my feet. I can still take it back fairly on plane. All right, I can still keep my tail end back for the most part, and I can still get it on plane on the downswing. All right, with the butt still back, still clear. And so there's no danger in this causing some other troubles that one might suspect from the outset. So let me go through that one more time. Start up square and then splay that foot open just a little bit. That's going to cause some troubles if you don't make one more adjustment, and that is take your knee and your left hip and turn it just a little bit in clockwise, all right? In the same manner as though you'd square up if both feet were square. And from there, see if you can maintain the tautness in this leg of being turned in throughout the backswing. If you do, you're going to find it a lot easier to find that left heel, which is going to allow you to maintain your posture, not early extend, and do all the things you need to clear the hips prior to impact. And I know that will help you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next week.